There's only one way to start this episode. We'll still, you know what? Hold on. Well, okay. So
that's one way.
I don't have any can to open, but
That's
please
okay.
know I'm with you in
it.
solidarity.
Janine.
Oh.
So
What's up?
I sat down to watch this episode.
Yeah.
And I just sat. I was sitting. I was like 30 seconds in. It's like, oh, flashback. Okay. Wonder what this is going to be. We see like a rocky outcropping of Scottish beach something, and we're sitting there enjoying the vibes.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Right? And then I see someone who has perfect maid face. I'm like, look at that maid face. That's great maid face. Who is that? Who is that with that pristine maid face? Who is it serving like full maid face? Who's giving me those vibes? And then the maid face lifts its maid face chin and says the words, "Mock me?" And that is how this episode of Outlander begins, which means it's also how this episode of Podlander, Drunkcast, and Outlander Podcast begins. The return of Bonnie Prince Douchebag.
Oh my God.
I wrote down, I couldn't stop myself, and I wrote down Bonnet Prince Douche.
Ah!
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's funny because there's another Bonnet cameo in this.
Yes,
too.
there is.
Yes, there is.
God, I wish we were both wearing bonnet. Oh my God, I can't wait to get to that one. So he looks up, it's Bonnie Prince Douchebag. I write down Bonnet Prince Douche, and then he's all like, you know what, bonnets suck. He actually says that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then the lady he's with, who you'll hear more about in a minute, is
Yeah.
like, do you think, sire, that perhaps wearing women's garb is a reasonable price to pay for your freedom?
And he's like, she's right.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And then Mistress Flora McDonald goes, "Thwarp," and opens her fan. Category is running away from Scotland.
Wow.
Yes.
She saves his ass.
So I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Wow.
Normally we don't jump in right with the Outlander shit, but y'all, and you know what? You want to know how much Bonnie Prince Douchebag is the right amount of Bonnie Prince Douchebag?
That much.
That much. One scene and that's it. And that is what we got.
That is
Mark
it?
me, one
That's it.
scene
One
is
scene?
enough.
How? Wow. Is he coming back?
It comes
Is-
back.
No.
Well, the plot
In-
comes
The
back.
plot comes back.
Okay. But
But
like
no.
that's how they opened up this episode, was just to say, don't forget BPD.
Yes.
I think we'll get there, but I think it was useful as a visceral reminder of exactly how little he is, as Flora McDonald puts it in the later in the episode. He was not a leader of men, which is a polite way of saying he sucked. He sucked at his
Yeah.
job. He sucked at human interaction.
My note about her is in all caps, and it says, "Who is this smooth talking queen?" She
Yeah,
is
icon.
smart. She is smart. She is on it. She gets his ass out of the country by faking the fact that her godmother died or something, and that we've got to get on this boat. And then here's Bonnie Prince Douchebag behind her, kind of hiding in his bonnet, like, don't look too closely at my face. And then they escape. She gets him out of it. She can talk.
So you might say that he is given liberty. This episode is the fifth? Five?
Yes.
Fifth episode of the 6th season of Outlander. Give me liberty. A little phrase that may be familiar to some of you. Usually is followed by give me death. Not at all ominous for this episode. Not at all ominous. Not even a little bit.
Oh.
However, it's not the only return in this episode. So Janine, first, Julie, let me ask you this. I think I think this is the best episode of the season so far. I'm curious what you think.
It was, I enjoyed watching it. I liked it better than last episodes. The way that the plots came together was more cohesive to me.
Yeah.
So the narrative structure was more fun to follow, I guess. And we got to see Janine, a little sneak a peekaloo into what the fuck is up with Malva Christie. And spoiler,
Jesus.
it's not good.
Good
Okay.
God. There's a
Julie,
lot going on.
I've just come up with a challenge for us with this episode. Let me know if you accept this challenge. I might be overthinking it. Okay?
I'm ready.
I think the number of things, we've already given away one of them, but the number of things that happen in this episode that if you just describe them to someone, they would go,
What?
What?
In the same episode? Yes.
And
they
it
do.
totally works. It works. Like, it works. But I think maybe we should each make one thing up that we're going to say happens in this episode. And then, Janine, you have to guess when we're making shit up.
Okay, man.
All right.
I'm real glad that I just woke up from a nap and did not mentally prepare for this experience.
You are in the right mental state.
I am so into that because
Great.
if I just sat down and
fuck.
listed the actual scenes, like what happens in each scene, just dry, true, factual words, you, Janine, would be like, no,
You made it all up.
that's the one you faked every time.
Okay.
So be prepared.
Okay. Well, this is gonna be a ride.
It is a ride.
It is quite a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Julie,
Mm-hmm.
what you want to take us away? Are there any details that we missed? I mean, again, I cannot. So we're starting at the beginning, and I cannot say Andrew Gower, primo Maid Face,
Yes.
just like Maid Face,
Born to bonnet.
born to bonnet, born to
Be-
bonnet.
BPD, BTB. Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay, so we flash back and the BPD is fleeing to the Italy to the ITL
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to Italy. ITA
Mm-hmm.
Depends.
to
I
the
mean,
ROME.
Are we European?
Yeah.
And then we get the theme song, which is sung in Gaelic. And the film is not the typical opening credits.
Yeah, I was a little bewildered by this because as I
Me
was
too.
watching it, it's beautiful. It sounds beautiful. Sung in Gaelic, the melody is a little bit different.
Mhm.
Also, I should mention when Flora McDonald is bluffing. Sorry, Janine. They're walking on the beach. They see boats, and there are redcoats at the boats. And he's like, "Oh no, we're not gonna be able to get out." And she's like, "No, I got you. It's fine. Just don't talk very much, okay, Your Highness." And then she's like,
My Diana's dying, and this is my Irish maid who knits things, and she's making a shroud for me. We gotta go.
and they're like, "Yeah, okay, see ya." And then off he goes. Brief, and again, that's it. That's a wrap. That's a wrap on Bonnet to Prince of
BPD.
Douche.
Mhm.
Except for the credits it's this beautiful Gaelic version of the theme song, and then it's all boat stuff. As I was watching, I kept going, Julie's gonna be so mad. This is all boat.
You know what?
all
I didn't
boat.
even really put the boat thing together in my mind because it's such short snippets. I was
Yeah.
I was too busy thinking about it being different.
But then that's it. No more boat.
You know what? You're fucking right.
So maybe it was just like,
Is this
This
an
is-
episode where you're just reminded of how far we've come? Like
There
BPD and
there is-
BDP and
There is a definite scene that could be titled "We've Come a Long Way, Baby," based on the Virginia Slims marketing campaign of the late 70s and early 80s.
invented by Peggy Olson. Canonical. That's canon. Mad Men, baby. Elizabeth Moss.
It's true. It's fucking true.
Anyway.
So it feels like they're only going to use that for this one episode. Here's a question that flashed into my mind, and I wasn't sure whether I had made this up. So, Aaron, no, this isn't part of the game today,
okay.
or whether or not this really happened.
Julie,
is-
this isn't what?
Is that this is not made up?
No.
Is-
this isn't part of it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was too busy thinking of the made up
Julie.
part.
Julie.
So, is this the song that the theme song is based on? Are they singing about Bonnie Prince Charlie in that song?
I think maybe that's right.
So, is this the
Over
reason
the
why
sea to
the new thing is him? That's why it's the theme this time, is because it's actually what the song is about.
I'm looking it up right now. Talk amongst yourselves. Skyboat song. We're Googling the Skyboat song because I know this and I feel like I'm going crazy. Skyboat song. Please talk about sports or something.
I
What?
really do think that. Well, no. So, Janine, what we're saying is the Outlander theme song that you are intimately aware of, and you have heard.
Yes, Julie, you are correct. The
Untold
Skyboat
times.
song is a 19th century Scottish song recalling the journey of Prince Charles Edward Stuart, parentheses, Bonnie Prince Charlie. No, correction, Wikipedia. Hold on, click button, go in, edit, Bonnie Prince Charlie. From Benbecula to the Isle of Skye as he evaded capture, which that's what I was going to say. At one point she says, I'm going over the sea to Skye.
Quoted in the scene.
Yeah, very cute. As he evaded capture by government troops after his defeat at the Battle of Culloden. Sir Harold Bolton, 2nd Baronet, composed the lyrics to an air collected by Anne Campbell MacLeod in the 1870s.
Scottish as fuck.
And the line, Over the Sea to Skye, is now a cornerstone of the tourism industry on the Isle of Skye. Alternative lyrics to the tune were written by Robert Louis Stevenson, probably in 1885. After hearing the Jacobite airs sung by a visitor, he judged the words of the song to be unworthy. So he made a new set of verses more in harmony with the plaintive tune. It is often played as a slow lullaby or waltz and entered into the modern folk canon in the 20th century with versions by Paul Robeson, Tom Jones, Rod Stewart, Roger Whittaker, Tori Amos, and many others.
Tori Amos, I bet that's good.
Yes, I agree.
But so we're actually seeing the theme song in real time.
That explains it. It's because it applies here.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
nice-
great. Mystery solved.
Nice little Easter egg. I like that.
And also, he, like I said, he's being given liberty, which you may sense. It's a bit of a theme.
Yeah. What was the title card?
It was a join or die flag.
Oh, that's right. It was a pre-American flag with the the snake that's cut into pieces, right? Give me liberty or join or die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting real close. And then guess who we see, Janine?
Man in a bear suit.
Jimi Hendrix.
What?
Julie!
The fuck? Did you know my grandparents are buried at the same cemetery as Jimi Hendrix?
What?
Small little Pagel family history as a thing. That's not real.
No, of course not. But I just wanted to surprise you really, really hard so that then you could fall down into the luxurious down blanket that is Coin Face.
Oh, hey, buddy.
It is so good to see him.
He's back and he's having a meeting with the governor.
And the governor is pissed because Jamie's all like, I respectfully retire from being an Indian agent, so deuces. And the governor is like, Lord John, you're going to need to go check this out. And Lord John's like, no problem.
Get your friend in the pocket. And then Lord John is like, listen, I assure you, this isn't going to be an issue. But you can see in his eyes that he knows differently. You can just see him go, Jamie, why can't you just be normal?
Why so much drama?
I just, someday I want to hear about you, and it's like, hey, do you know that guy James Fraser? Man, nothing is going on with him. Wow, what an uneventful life he leads.
He just became a gentleman farmer.
You know, David Barry, he's very good.
Yes. I was so happy to see him. I was like, oh, Coin Face, thank God.
And they're not making him do like, or your love, blah, blah, blah. None of that shit. There's the pining energy is strong, but he's got it under control.
That's
right.
good.
And so now we know that Lord John's going to be around and going to be trying to talk Jamie into staying as a royalist, or at least still like giving fealty to the crown in some way, right?
Yeah.
And then we're in Wilmington, North Carolina. So it's a big ceremony. There's going to be this big ceremony. Is it at River Run where? No. Maybe the governor's mansion, whatever, where the woman who took him on the boat is coming to speak. Guess what she's going to speak about, Janine?
Liberty.
No. She is going to speak about being loyal to the crown, which is fucked up. Think about that for just a second. She helped a Jacobite escape. The people that revolted against the crown in Scotland, and now she's in America telling people you should stay British.
There's an interesting line that, God, I can't remember whether it's Jamie or Jocasta. Because also, by the way, Jocasta back in this episode.
Yes.
Oh
and
my
Jocasta
God.
shows up.
We're really playing the hits. It's great.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. Everyone's here.
So the gang is all here unless they're dead.
Is there, yeah, I was just about to ask, is there like a
R.I.P.
Murtaugh
Murtaugh.
flashback or something
Murtaugh.
like that?
No, they talk about
I
him.
wish.
You-
They do talk about him.
Yeah, they do talk about him. It's very nice.
Of course, because Jocasta can't, her mind is always in the fairy hut.
You're right.
You're right.
You are
You're right.
fucking right.
Yeah.
You don't even know how right. Just wait.
She. Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ. Why is this episode?
When it happened,
I'm ready.
I predicted it like 10 seconds ahead, and I was like, I know what's about to happen.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then it
me too.
happened. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Oh
But,
my God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So,
Okay.
so they're having this meeting with Flora McDonald in this lovely mansion. So the who's who of Scottish society in North Carolina are all gathered to see this icon, right? Like she's
Flora
a heroic
McDonald, right.
figure.
Mhm.
Flora
Mhm.
McDonald, who got the BPD on the BOAT and sent him over the SEA to SKYE. So
Mhm.
it's a very big deal. And Jamie and Claire are there because they were invited and because they're going to see Jocasta. Presumably they had to buy some more windows. So they're in Wilmington. But it's complicated because Jamie, as we learned in the last episode, is really feeling he's feeling how tightly his vest is laced up in the back when it comes to the position he's in.
Mm-hmm.
So he's ready to start stretching his rebel wings, and that's not a great place for him to be in this case, because she's speaking on staying loyal.
She's a royalist.
Yeah.
However,
Mhm.
he also gets a missive from a gentleman who seems to have picked up through the grapevine that old James Fraser might not be so interested in being a loyalist. And he wants to know if he wants to meet in the very inn they're staying in to toast king and country. And Claire says, well, then how do you know? How do you know that he's really a rebel or whatever, a son of son of liberty, whatever she says. He says, I think he has a broad sense of humor. I don't remember what he exactly says, but
He
that's the
did
gist.
say that.
Yeah.
He just says he has a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, you got that from a letter sweet. I hope you're not walking into a fucking trap.
He wasn't.
He wasn't. He never is. Jamie's too well. Yeah, he
Except
is.
except for what he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bless.
So this is the scene where Claire gets to say, if only they knew what's coming. Remember how we made fun of that in the
Oh yeah.
it still wasn't great. It still is not my favorite line ever written on
But
Allison.
it is said in the context of all of the people. Oh, and this is where Jamie says the line I was trying to remember, I think. That these people, a lot of these people have already tried rebellion on Versailles and it didn't work out so well for them. You know, it cost them
Right.
basically everything.
And now
So-
they've moved to this country and made a life for themselves and have started to experience wealth, right? And we see a lot of that here
Yeah.
because all these people we get to see a lot of pretty gowns and stuff. So the costumes are a little bumped up in this episode.
Oh,
too.
the costumes are
So
top
good.
notch in this episode. I mean, they've been great all season, but woo, they're really very good in this episode.
Speaking of accessories, we see a very important one here when Jamie goes to the tavern in the hotel to meet this guy. He's got a little pinky ring on. It's a Freemason's ring. And then they do this fucking handshake that looks straight out of the Honeymooners. I'm not even lying. They shake
It's
hands
like
and they type and then tap, tap, and then boop, boop, boop. It's like when girls were little and they did the Miss Mary Mac shit. It's
Yeah.
all like, it's totally like that. And I'm like, oh, boys club. And speaking of boys club, Jamie stands up from that table to walk away after talking to this guy and saying, yeah, I'll come to your meeting. The rebels.
Yeah.
And on the mantle over the fireplace, Allison, what is on the mantle of this tavern in this hotel in Wilmington, North Carolina?
It is not a jar of hot piss, but spiritually, that's what it is. It's a jar of hot piss. I want to set this up for you really clearly, Janine. We see Jamie walking out of the frame. Then he backs up back into the frame and looks at these bottles and jars that are on top of the fireplace. And then he sort of peers and he leans in to read one more closely. And it says, These are the bollocks of the notorious pirate Stephen Bonnet. And they're just testicles floating in formaldehyde above the mantle in the inn they're staying at, where people eat and stuff.
Is that real?
Yes!
Yes.
Yes! Yes, that's real. I didn't make that shit up.
We are barely setting the tone for this episode because that shit happens continually in this episode.
That's so
Little
funny.
tiny. I mean, that I will say that is that's maybe the single weirdest throwaway thing. It's also a book thing, but that's for another time. Not in an inn. It's not in an inn.
I was actually like, what? Oh my God. Okay, I'm in for it. Let's do this. Crack.
But you know
knuckles.
what? Sam Heughan doesn't necessarily get all that many chances to be funny in the show, and he played that just right. You just kind of see his face go, huh, and then he just walks away.
He had a great comedic moment later. The snooker game. We'll come back to it, but he nailed it. Okay, so Jamie has agreed to meet with the rebels. Was there anything really specifically plot important other than that he's going to do it in that scene?
It's important to know that, because this will, I'm assuming, come up kind of a lot. It certainly comes up throughout this episode, that no one is really prepared to trust him because he's been doing way too good a job at staying on both sides of the line.
Yes.
So they're like, we heard that you resigned at Alamance, but also you were an Indian agent and the governor gave you all this land and you're friendly with the governor, and how are we supposed to trust you? And Jamie, being Jamie, is very convincing, and he says, I want to follow my conscience and I want to do what's right for my fellow man. And that's this. So that's what I'm gonna do. He's like, okay, I see you. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the cat is making some very strange noise.
Hi,
I bet it's the
Nancy.
tunnel. I bet it's the tunnel. I bet she's in the tunnel of love.
She's getting it.
She is getting the tunnel. Anyway.
Okay.
So that is an important thing to know, is people are having a hard time believing that Jamie lands anywhere because he's been doing too good a job at being all things to all people.
They feel like he's duplicitous in a way, like he's kind of playing both sides of the middle.
It's hard to get a read on where he's actually at.
Yeah,
there are all kinds of signs that he could be full of shit and is actually working for the other people. Because he's been doing too good a job. Thanks, Claire.
God. We go back to the ridge, and we see Roger Mack on a ladder in front of a chimney with some smoke coming out the side of it. And he's like, well, I guess we're going to have to patch this up. Yoink, yoink, yoink. And then the little boy, Aiden, is down there, and he's like, do you need the mortar? And he brings in the mortar. And then we realize fucking Roger is weirdly playing house with that widow.
Amy McCallum.
Widow McCallum, the young widow that Roger and Bree were going to help and build a house for and assist her. Yeah, you can tell that something's weird. And I don't think that Roger really gets it. Like, I think it might be slightly above his head. But he just starts singing.
Without any difficulty, which is a change. That's fine, though. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Great to hear his voice in such good shape. But he's singing a folk song that wasn't written until the 1950s. So
my note was, and he's singing. I guess it's time.
Yeah, I was thinking about this episode has a little bit of everything. I was trying to come up with like a list in my head of shit that I would say to be cutesy about this episode. Instead, I was just like, no, it's you don't understand. It's the body prints. Just came out of my mouth. But one of the things was it has Roger being a jackass, and it has Roger being great, and that's. If you're going to have an episode that has everything, it has to have both of those things. And it does. Yeah. Sometimes simultaneously. Because he's doing the right thing here. He's helping this woman who's in need of help. He's hanging out with her kid, who clearly also needs some support and a friend. And that's all great. But as we're about to learn, maybe tongues are wagging a bit about it. Because then we see Bree and the rest of and
The
Vogue.
gang, the squad. I'm
The
sorry.
squad.
The squad.
Walking through the woods, looking for a good spot to build a water wheel because Bree's next big project is bringing indoor plumbing to the ridge.
That's pretty cool. That's great. She's realizing she has to up her game because the matches just didn't.
It wasn't enough.
It didn't light the spark she thought.
Yeah.
So it was Bree, it was Marsley,
Yeah.
it was Lizzie,
Yeah.
and it was Malva. They
Yeah.
were all together. The squad is looking around, and they stumble upon this burned out fire pit.
This is from the this is from the trailer.
Jamie, what? Sorry, I just called you Jamie. Save it forever. Please remember it. Janine, what was in the fire pit? What had been burned in this fire pit?
Stephen Bonnet's testicles.
You know what? You're closer than you think.
You are closer than you
No
think.
shit. What the
Yes.
fuck? I love that every dart I throw here is like not a bullseye, but it's like on the board at least.
Marsley, in her infinite wisdom, crouches down like the bad bitch she is and just starts picking things out of the fire. She goes, oh, it's bones and seaweed and this and that. She's listing all the things that are in the... I think it's a charm. It's the one that's called Venom of the Wind or something like that. A love charm. And then I think Lizzie suggests that maybe it's the fisher folk doing it.
Because they're still a superstitious kind of group,
Yes.
and maybe they still have these traditions. Right?
Although,
Sure.
as Roger later says, I did not think Presbyterians went in for all that. So they're looking at this pile of bones and stuff, and Malva suggests that maybe it's the widow McCallum because she's got those 2 young babies and she's all alone. And you see Brianna make this face like, bitch, come on.
Mhm.
My husband's not fucking that lady. Have you seen me? I'm good. We're fine. It's fine. But she's annoyed. You can tell. And then someone says, what are they, bird bones or something like that? And Marsley just, cool as a cucumber, just says, nope, finger bones.
Yeah,
They're finger bones.
human fucking finger
Human?
bones. That's what was in that fire pit.
Oh,
Finger bones, Janine.
It's a finger fire, Janine.
a finger fire. That's a euphemism for something else, I believe, too.
It's one of Jamie's special skills.
It
Yes.
is one of his.
It
special
made the
skills.
resume.
It
Yeah.
did make the resume.
Yeah,
Right
Rolling
above
Keys-
weak semen.
Yeah. He really
And
knows how to-
speaking of
yeah.
weak semen, Lizzie faints.
All of a sudden, she's got a touch of the disease. And she
Remember
just...
that she has malaria? Do you remember that, Janine?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of. It feels like it was kind of forgotten a little bit, or not really
Yeah.
addressed for a while. But
It
anyway,
was a
Patty.
huge thing early on.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
now she's getting good medical care from Claire, so she has fewer flare-ups.
Yeah.
Right.
'cause-
However,
yeah,
she's having one now.
'cause
And the
Claire's a
next thing we
witch.
see is Brianna, because remember, Claire's not there. Claire's in Wilmington.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Brianna is telling the Beardsley twinzos that they need to take this bottle of ointment, which I'm going to need you to remember as Chekhov's ointment. They need to take the bottle of ointment.
Okay.
They also need to find what kind of berries? Some kind of berries. Gallberries? Gallberries?
Something I don't remember.
And one of, I think it's Kezzy, Keziah Beardsley says, those are poisonous. And Bree says, yeah, they're not for eating. They're for the ointment. So keep an eye out for those because she's going to need more. But also take her this and go take care of her. And they scamper off to take care of their beloved.
The way they shoot those twins is so funny
I love
because it's like mid-range close-up, and then goes back to Lizzie, and then mid-range close-up on the same actor, just in a different costume every time. Then when they
Saving
turn around
that
to
money.
walk away, they have a double as one of them walking away. Right? You could tell it's a double.
Yeah.
I just looked up Paul Gorman, who plays those characters, and I was like, oh yeah, they just really went all in and said, nope, we're just gonna double you up. You're fine.
It's fine.
Well,
It's
they
fine.
are supposed to be identical twins.
Yes.
It's
Much
it's
to Lizzie's
a
delight.
major plot point, if you all remember, because of the thieves' mark on one of their hands and not being able to tell them apart. And now that Kezzy's ears are better, it's anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Patty, it's important that they look alike.
Mm.
So we're going to put a pin in that because that's a wrap on Lizzie and the Beardsleys for this episode. There's a throwaway remark where Marsley says that they're up taking care of her like she's a little lost lamb.
Oh yeah.
So they're watching over poor Lizzie while she's got the shakes.
And then is this when they go to the event?
I think
and they
so.
run into the Lord John first. So this is Jamie and Claire and Wilmington all dressed up. They're out of the hotel. He's had his meeting with the new rebel guy, and now they're actually at the event where Miss McDonald is going to speak.
Yeah. You can see David Barry does a great job. You can see flicker across his face when he sees Jamie and then Claire. He goes, "Oh, Jamie. Oh, right, Claire. Oh, but I love Claire. Oh,
Yes.
this is complicated." And then he introduces them. But you can see him go like, "Oh, my heart. Oh, right. Oh, but she's great too. This is complicated." It's great. He just really is selling the hell out of it. You could just see me like, why is this my life? Okay.
And then
hi guys.
he tells Jamie a lot about Willie. Like Willie is growing into a very intelligent young man, it seems. He's
Willie
bragging
is
on him
growing
hard.
into a teeny tiny James Fraser. He always beats him at chess. He speaks multiple languages. He talks about politics like a politician and history like a historian. He is really bad at being on a boat and not puking at the same time.
How old is
He
Willie at this point?
too looks hot whilst covered in blood.
I bet.
How old is Willie at this point?
I don't know, probably like 15 or 16, right? And he's still a kid.
I think he might be 18, 19, somewhere in there. He's young.
So closer to young manhood than childhood, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. His voice is definitely dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're in a. He's pressing up on adulthood. He's knocking on adulthood's door.
Mm.
And then we find out Angie Costa is there. We're happy to see her.
With Duncan.
She's looking good. Maybe a little bit distressed or like distracted kind of, but there. And we find out, and this is one of those weird little time hops that sometimes this show does to me where I'm like, was this a dream? I didn't know this. Jocasta bought Fergus a print shop. Like he's moving to Wilmington to set up in this print shop.
To Newbern.
Sorry, Newbern. Yeah. And when we go back to the ridge later, we see Marsley packing up their house because she's going to leave to join him with the kids. So they're about to leave Fraser's Ridge, right?
Wow.
So it kind of felt like a lot shoved in real quick.
Yeah.
Like
basically the timeline that Juliet was jarring, but I think that it's intentional. There is a time hop, right? We when Fergus was doing his travels, his Jamie prescribed travels that we saw in the last episode, he mentions that he should stop at River Run. And apparently when he stopped at River Run, Jocasta was like, I see a way to help you, and also myself, which is Jocasta's favorite jam. So she says, I'm going to buy you a print. There's a print shop for sale in Newbern. I'm going to buy you a print shop, nephew. And presumably Fergus goes, oh, thank you, madame. I'm very grateful to... Yeah, I can't do it.
Scotland plus France.
I'm trying to do it. I'm not as good at it as the damn boy. So yeah, that's a big development. And Jamie is a little bit salty about it.
Yeah.
Just like a little, he's like, so.
Why'd you take my son away?
Why'd you take my son away, Jocasta? To which she responds like, whoa, chill, dude. Don't you want him to be happy? Jamie's like, yeah, fine, I guess I want him to be happy. Yeah. And then we meet Mistress Flora McDonald, who is still looking beautiful in a beautiful gown. Sort of like, there's this embroidery on the front that's vaguely reminiscent of thistles. So like kind of a Scottish connection there, but it's also this very rich brown, like earthy brown. She's very striking. And she seems a little...
This actress, Shauna McDonald, is that the actress or what's she playing? She's playing McDonald.
Flora McDonald.
Yes.
She was in The Descent, and she is good in The Descent. Do you guys know that movie?
Oh my God, of course she was.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, I looked her up,
She was.
She is astounding.
and that is that is a horrifying film, and she did so good in that fucking film.
God,
She is
I'm
great
so
in this
glad
episode,
you made
too.
that connection. She's
Oh,
really
wow.
great in it, and it's very understated. But
But
while
she's just got such power. Like, she is a leader of people,
you can tell.
but a woman, right?
And she gets in a couple of good digs about like, oh well,
Yes, she
because
does.
women,
Women are judged on their appearance. Men
Yeah,
are judged
women-
on their deeds.
At one point, she's talking about Claire, and she's like, a great physician, incidentally, a woman.
A woman.
And it's very nice. But she's telling them that the reason she was late to the party, the reason that she and her husband, who is briefly, there's a moment when they introduce Flora McDonald and her husband, somebody McDonald, to our friend, Major Donald McDonald. So it's McDonald meeting McDonald and McDonald, at which point Fiona McDonald reveals that her maiden name was also McDonald. So it's a McDonald who married a McDonald, and they're meeting a guy named Donald McDonald.
Played by a McDonald.
Played by a McDonald. Yep. Really, this choice.
This is definitely a supersized episode.
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
have stared into the abyss, and it has stared back at me.
No,
And its name is
supersized?
Donald.
His name is Donald
And
McDonald.
it was supersized like a McDonald.
Yeah. Oh, no. I got it.
I didn't.
I got it.
I didn't.
And
now I
you
can't
did stare-
unget it.
And now you stared into the abyss like The Descent.
You know what? I'm going to take that call back. That's good.
That was good.
Well done. So Flora is explaining that the reason that she and her husband, Donald McDonald, were late to the party is because someone broke into her room and stole her necklace and then ran off
Scalawags.
with it. But the cops caught up with him. And when they found him, he had the necklace, but one of the emeralds was missing from the necklace. And they zoom in to show us. And it's like, beautiful emerald, missing emerald. And then Jocasta takes like kind of a turn. Like she's like, oh no. And at first I was like, this is shenanigans. I don't know how she is related to this robbery, but I don't think that's the case. I think it was just weird timing, because we have seen it before that Jocasta's the condition that led to her blindness can also be very painful for her. We've seen Claire try to help her with this before in previous seasons, and she says, "Oh, would you like me to treat it for you? I can help." And Jocasta says, something very unpleasant, I'm sure, but nope. So then Flora is like, "Oh, I'll come with you. Well, let's go get some air." Cut
And I'm like,
to
I knew it. I knew. I just knew
gazebo
it was going to happen.
where Aunt Jocasta is hitting a pipe, smoking the old devil weed.
So it's Jocasta, Claire, and Flora McDonald getting high in that gazebo together.
Beautiful
Jesus.
gazebo.
Wow.
This episode has something for everyone.
It has everything. In fact, if I have one note on this episode, it's that there was not nearly enough of those three women getting high. I needed like a lot more of those three women getting high. Maria Doyle Kennedy does a nice job sort of giggling a little bit. But I really just wanted Claire to be like, "I'm from the future." Isn't that crazy?
Like, just accidentally say it.
It'd be funny. That seems like that'd be a nice like end credits like hold scene where they're just all smoking and like every now and then they giggle in the distance and you just names roll and they're just getting fucking toasted.
That is not the credit scene that we get.
No.
But Claire, Jocasta, Flora McDonald, getting stoned, talking about how maybe things that seem like honors aren't really. So Flora McDonald says that she never quite aligned with Bonnet Prince douchebag all that well, which is when she says he was not a leader of Maine. Sick burn, Flora.
Real. And you
Ooh.
can tell that it's real because she is you can feel her energy, and it's just like, oh, she disdains him. She has nothing but disdain for this person.
She got him out, but yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes! No wonder it failed. He sucks. Like that's the energy that she gets.
Exactly.
Right? Like, ugh. Gah. Then Jocasta says something about how Claire actually has. She's always wanted to meet royalty, but she never has. But Claire has actually had that honor. And first, Claire says, "Well, I wouldn't consider Culloden an honor." And then she says, "Versailles, on the other hand." And then we get a just awful flashback of her in Louis's bedroom, closing her eyes and thinking of England, which remains maybe the single best line of dialogue from the entire show. But the funniness of that line does not diminish the horror of the scene. So she gets a little, she has a little, like a little flash. I mean, it's PTSD. She has like a flash, and you can see Katrina does such a good job. You can see that she's trying really hard to not panic. It's like pushing it all down. But
And
it's,
it sounds like this too is like it's that moment is honoring the complete and utter like disassociation she had during her kidnapping and in the last season, right?
I feel like it's when we originally saw the Versailles scene in the show, it was sexual assault.
Yeah.
We know this. But it was played in a way where it was like Claire saying, "I closed my eyes and thought of England," which was kind of a little bit funny, but like still fucked up.
Yeah.
This flashback is very brief and kind of brutal.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
funny.
It's interesting to look at that scene as sort of originally being shot the way that Claire saw it then. Because and this is true in the book too, it's horrifying to her and she has these really awful memories of it, but it's all like tactile and it's like a gross thing that she has to do to free her husband, right? Like that was the deal. It was in exchange for getting Jamie out of prison.
Yeah.
So it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But she clearly sees it as like a distasteful thing that she has to do here, which is why the line is funny, even though the scene is horrifying. Here it's not that. Here it's just and it's so brief.
And what I feel like I'm picking up though is that it's now colored by all the additional trauma.
Oh,
she's
yeah,
had.
yeah,
yeah.
Like because it's built up in a way where it's
Yeah,
like
she can't hold it down anymore.
It's none of it. It's like it's like that the Brownsville nightmare unlocked all of this shit that she had managed to successfully repress for decades.
Wow,
but now
this
it's all
episode-
back.
That's a horrifying scene, but also continues to be a little bit of everything.
And
in
I
this
want to
fucking
remind you,
episode.
this is the same scene where it starts with them all getting high together. Like the turns, the twists. The fact that it manages to be as affecting as it is, and also all this crazy shit happens, it's really something else.
And then we have to go back to the speech. Hold on. I have to do this part because it's germane to what we were just saying.
Mhm.
She bags up the weed, lets them go ahead of her. And what do you think she does?
Because she says, I'm going to bag up some of this. I'm going to get you an ounce.
Yeah, she really does. She's
Yeah.
like, "I'm going to hold for you and I'll see you at the party."
Yeah, you go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and bag up your stash. We're going to find a can of Pepsi that isn't really a can of Pepsi. You twist the lid off and you put the hemp flower inside. It's going to be
She
great.
does
Or
call
like
it
a
cannabis
false,
flower.
maybe like a book with a hollowed out middle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she's going to Maria full of Grace it.
Did you said the name of the director of this episode, right? At the
It
beginning?
is it's the same woman as last week. Hold on.
And I have her name right here. It's Christiana Ebohan Green.
Green, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also we may as well do the writer, Barbara Stepansky.
Yeah.
All right, Barbara. I
Good
see you,
job,
Barbara.
Barbara and Christiana, just killing it.
Yeah.
So,
So they go back to the party, right?
I interrupted you. They leave.
Oh, yeah.
She's setting up the ounce.
What do you think she does then?
With the ounce?
No, she's all by herself with her medical bag, like getting shit done.
Chilling in
Oh,
the pot
shit.
gazebo.
She probably has a little snifter of ether.
Yeah, she does.
Fucking shit.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And so
She's
gotta
taking that on the
take a-
road now, and now
Yeah.
she's doing a little bit
Yeah,
of ether
she's
on
taking
the
it on the
fucking-
damn road.
Fucking
She
hey.
puts just a little tiny drop on a handkerchief and then goes to a chair and they don't show it, which I think is pretty genius. We don't have to see it. We know exactly what's going to happen. It's actually more unsettling. And then this is an edit that I'm wondering.
Where's the editor on this? I was looking up the editor.
601 and 606. Editor 605, Mickey Blythe. Mickey Blythe takes us from Claire walking in the direction of a chair with her ether handkerchief directly to her walking into the middle of Flora McDonald's speech. And it is such a smart cut because she was just out, right? It was like we had the ether along with her. She was just out. It's like those moments don't exist. It's just this little jump ahead in time, and we miss everything prior to when she wakes up. Really smart. She walks up to Jamie, and Jamie says, "Where were you?" And she says, "Oh, I just needed a bit of a rest." And I went, "Oh, no, good. Ooh.
Not that kind of rest,
Not that kind of rest, Claire. Take a nap.
It's really, it's heartbreaking. But Flora's giving this speech about peace and unity, and it's very convincing, which is bad.
Yeah. She's a royalist. She's trying to drum up support for those coats.
So why do we get a sense of why she's become a turncoat, as it were?
I've got to say it's the money.
Oh, see, I think it's peace. No more wars for them.
So
They're
just
not
like,
going to fight the
Right.
crown again. They already did this. And it
Right.
went really badly. And a lot of them were imprisoned, and a lot of them were indentured. People lost their lives and their dignity, and people starved, and people died, and terrible things happened. Nothing good came out of Culloden, apparently, except for one folk song later used as a theme song for a television show. So, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. And BPD sucked anyway. So, what are we really fighting for? Let's just live our lives. She doesn't say it that way, but that to me is the energy that I got.
Subtext. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's bad news because this is the context in which Claire's saying, if only they knew what was coming. Makes sense. Because these are people who should, in theory, be exactly the sorts of people that would sympathize with and want to support American rebels, right? Who would want to fight for independence. But experience has taught them that maybe that's a shitty idea. And what they don't know is not what's happening. It's that they don't know that they're going to win.
Right.
Which is understandable. I would not have thought that they were going to win.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
would've
If I
thought?
live then? No way.
No. I mean, I would really like to think that I would be on the right side of things. And I mean, who knows except for when you're in that time. But man, if I had already rebelled against my government and lost everything, it would be
And had
really...
to move an ocean away from my home where I was born and raised. And
Yeah.
then this shit is coming back to me all the way over here. Why is it coming here? Go away. Yeah, kind of like that.
It's
Yeah.
it's the show is letting it be complicated in a way that I really appreciate.
Yeah, totally.
It's not loyalists bad, rebels good at all. Speaking of,
Now Lord John takes this moment to get a one-on-one in with old James Fraser. And he's talking to him about his resignation as Indian agent and trying to kind of figure out what Jamie's playing at. And Jamie kind of dares him a little bit. He's like, "What do you think?" He has a little moment with him where Lord John is like, "I know you're messy. I know I know. You're on the rebel side." Like, it's kind of like that.
well,
I
except for
making
then
that up?
Jamie says, "No, I'm not."
Mhm.
And Lord John is like, "Great, what a relief."
Jamie
Oh,
lies to his face.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's surreal.
Jamie is torn up about it.
And you can again, David Barry, so good. You can sort of see that he's like, "Oh, okay, great. Great. If you say so, you don't lie. I
To
know you're
me-
not a liar. So,
Mhm.
great. That means that you're not. Okay, cool." And then Mary, one of the enslaved people on Jocasta's estate, who I think we've met before.
We definitely met her at the beginning of this episode because she's traveling with Jocasta.
Right,
and
but
they
I mean,
mentioned...
Previously in the show.
in like season 4?
I think it's
Maybe?
the episode with the
Do no
big
harm.
crazy river run.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you. The
Yes,
river run
thank
party.
you.
Yeah.
She's very good in this episode, that actress. What's her name?
Her name is Mercy Ojedlat. Oh, Ojelade.
Great job, Mercy.
Yeah.
She's very good. She runs in and says, Lord John, I'm so sorry to interrupt this conference with your one true love, but something is happening in town. So they go running off. And speaking of it being more complicated, a bunch of Sons of Liberty are attempting to break into a printer to tar and feather the printer because he printed the flyers for the Flora McDonald gathering, which Mary is aware of because she brought the flyer to him because Jocasta paid for it. And that's how Jamie finds out that Jocasta paid for the entire event. But first, they have to stop the Sons of Liberty from tarring and feathering a man. And
For doing his job.
For doing his job.
Just the print guy. Just the printmaker. That guy.
I'm just the printer. I'm just the printer.
They paid me to do this.
And then
What?
Jamie gets whacked with a broom that has tar on it. And
Oh my
gets-
God! Right here, I was like, I will murder whoever that was.
Oh my
Don't get
God.
that close to his face.
Don't you dare get that close to that face.
That's Hickey
No.
Land. That's Hickey Land.
It was kind of Hickey Land. It was right there under
Yeah.
his ear.
Don't fucking tar up Hickey Land, man.
So then
Fuck with that.
we later cut to Claire and Jamie alone, and Claire is treating the wound, right?
Hickey Land, yeah.
And they're talking about how bad it was. Oh, we also see one of the people that Jamie met earlier in his Maybe I Want to Be a Son of Liberty meeting, seeing him stop the rebels. Well, bad news bears.
What side? What side? Again, what
Jamie.
side?
So Claire is treating his wound, and we see the tar there. And they're having a conversation about how hard it's going to be, and Jocasta, and blah, 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 blah. And then Claire says, almost all better. And then she leans down and sucks the tar off of his neck with her lips. And then unfortunately, then they cut the sex scene again. Like, we're not going to get the tar sex scene. That's a famous scene in the books.
Is there a sex scene in this episode?
Well, no, because we cut away from it. We cut away after Claire sucks the tar off of his neck with her lips. That we cut away from the scene where they have sex with the tar.
There was an intimacy coordinator on this episode, Vanessa Coffey. So it sounds like
She might be like the season-long intimacy coordinators are all the rage now, as well they should be.
yeah, totally.
Okay. At this point, I feel like I can't allow this to stand. Of course, she doesn't suck the tar off his neck, Janine.
Yep, that was the lie.
Yeah, I mean, it did sound ridiculous to me, but
But you've
But
heard
we
other
are-
ridiculous things.
Because we already saw Stephen Bonnet's bollocks in a jar above the fireplace.
We
Because-
saw Claire and Jocasta go out and get high.
and like when I was listening to like sucking the tar of his neck, I was like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, how was the tar in his neck? And then also, like, what does that do to her teeth? Like, her teeth are getting fucked,
Ew.
and she would know better.
These are
But,
good
like,
questions.
Whatever. Like, if it's
No,
a
she
sexy tar
she
scene,
does treat him though.
She does
They-
clean him up.
they get sticky with some tar. Hey yo, hey yo.
What?
I don't know. I've been hitting the board, no bullseyes, but I keep hitting the board no matter what I do. So I just
You're
thought
just
I'd
gonna keep trying.
fucking
Thunk.
throw it.
Thunk.
Oh, I fucking hit the back wall.
Thunk.
My bad.
Guess who saved Jamie, making it look even worse? Mayor McCheese. Major McDonald, the
Yeah.
redcoat that's been up on the ridge, and all that shit.
Yeah.
He's the guy that comes and saves him from the tar and feathering gang. So
Oh, that's
now
fucking-
it really looks like he's on
Which he
the
was also
redcoat
doing
side.
side by side with Lord John, right? So like he's with someone from the peerage, and then there's this and that. It's bad. It's bad news for old James Fraser. Plus
Yeah.
tar on his beautiful neck. How dare?
How dare
How
they?
very dare.
Fuck up.
Speaking
Hickey
of
land.
bad news, let's go back to the ridge. And we've got
What happened to the windows?
fucking Tom Christie and Alvin Christie. Is it Alvin or Alan? I'm sorry,
Alan.
I forgot. Alan Christie and Roger McKenzie rolling the new bell up the hill to the church. that
And
they're
we're
building. It's
introduced
very
to-
heavy.
We're introduced to the scene by Tom Christie saying, God, he's just such a
That's bad.
buzzkill.
Like,
they're
why?
they're pushing this bell up the hill, and he takes the time to say, ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And you're like,
Come on.
and
And then doesn't Roger kind of say something snarky to him about it?
well, no, he says, oh, hopefully it'll also be tolling for weddings and christenings and all sorts of happy things. And then his kid is like, yeah, but he's allergic to happiness. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist.
That is what Alan says. My dad doesn't like happiness.
And Dad responds kind of like this.
Harumph. We get our harumph.
Yeah.
And then Tom Christie's like, Roger, can you run up into the church and get some more rope, or we need to connect to the pulley to get it up into the steeple, right? And so Roger goes up to the church and opens the door. Janine, what's happening on the altar?
Little bit of finger fire.
Yes.
Ooh,
That's correct.
You're right.
That's correct.
Who's getting blasted? Who's getting blasted?
I'm gonna guess Lizzie.
No.
She's got malaria, bro.
I don't know. She's got the shakes. That's an extra kind of fun situation.
One more
maybe?
guess.
Oh no, Malva.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, Malva. With whom?
Some dude from the fucking Fisher people, Mr. Anderson. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was like,
Henderson.
Mr. Anderson.
I think it's Henderson.
Henderson?
I think it's Henderson because his name comes up again a couple scenes from now.
Okay. Henderson.
Between Roger and Brianna.
Okay.
Obadiah Henderson.
Yes.
Yes.
So he was making out, maybe more, with Malva on the
There's a
altar.
lot of fun on the floor. They're not like
Yeah, they're not up against anything. They're
She's-
like hidden behind the lectern a little
it's not
bit.
like he's got her pushed up against a crucifix or some shit. It's not like that.
No.
They're on the floor, but still, it's a church.
It is what's happening up there.
And there's a lot of
That's what-
clothes
and that-
fumbling, so there was
and that's where her-
definitely some
Yeah,
disrobing in process.
And that's where her dad likes to hang out. That seems like a dangerous choice.
Oh, does it?
Oh, does it? So Roger
Oh,
comes in
no.
and says, it's not even noon. He actually does have like really big, it's not even noon energy.
He doesn't really say that, but he does say that.
It's very that. So he says, Mr. Henderson, Miss Christie, what? Look where you are. And they're like, oh, no, it's no big deal. Sorry, man. And he says, Miss Christie, your father and brother are outside right now. And she gets this look on her face. This actress is good. She's
Jessica Reynolds. I
Jessica
remember.
Reynolds. She is good. She sort of like runs up to him, but like crouched over. It's very intense. And says, if you tell my father and brother about I'm not even going to attempt the accent right now because it's too real. If you tell my father and brother about this, I'm going to tell everyone I saw you kissing Amy McCallum.
Shit.
And Roger says, I've done no such thing. She says, yes, but everyone knows you spend more time with the widow than you do with your own wife and child. They'll believe me.
Yeah, they'll believe me.
Malva just got fucking scary.
She just went straight Arthur Miller on his ass.
Holy
Very-
shit.
It's the Crucible now.
It was very I saw Goody Proctor speaking with the devil.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
She's just like, oh, laser focused. And he just goes, oh, God.
You're scary.
Okay.
Come on, Obadiah. Let's take the rope outside
You're gonna
and
help
get
me
away
take
from
it.
her.
She's gonna go out the back door.
Ugh. Like that.
But you know what? I think that ultimately Malva might have done old Roger a favor.
Yeah. She gave him a heads up on like what's going on.
Did we already skipped? Yes, we skipped the scene where Brianna tells Roger about what people are talking about, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about that part. Yeah.
Oh, did we? Yeah, probably.
So there's a scene in between somewhere before this where it's Brianna and Roger and they're talking about one thing and another. And about the song maybe? You're serenading her?
No, it's almost there. Because this is when she tells him about.
No.
Oh,
later.
no.
Two
No,
separate
you're right.
scenes.
You're
So they have like kind of a spat where Roger says, listen, there's nothing going on. And Brianna says, no, I know there's nothing going on. The point is not there's nothing going on. The point is that she's never going to find someone if you're already the man of the house. And that's like
Right.
pretty close to exactly what she says. He says, I'm her minister and I'm just doing what we promised to do. And she says, that's not, you need to be here with us. We need you. she needs a husband and you're already taken. And Roger says, well, do you really need me? Because you're bringing indoor plumbing to the ridge.
Yeah,
Luckily,
he's like, you're so capable. And I'm
he's
like,
not but he's not a dick about it. You can tell he means it as praise.
Mm-hmm.
Could be way worse. And one of the things that I appreciate about the writing of this episode is that at no point does it seem even a little bit that Brianna is worried about Roger
No.
having an affair.
Yeah.
It's
Not at all.
never that she's not jealous. It's that he's overcorrected. Needs to like get his life back in alignment, and she just doesn't understand how he doesn't see that.
Yeah.
Which is why I say that maybe Malva did him a favor, because the look on his face, he's like, oh, fuck. Okay. So you would say that despite this whole ridge, knowing that I'm a good person and that I love my wife. But if you said that, people would believe you. Maybe I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, she did him a little bit of a favor.
Okay.
And then after the crucible scene is when he goes back and the widow cooks him like a fish meal, and he sits down and he's like, this is the end. I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
He
So this
walks
is what
up-
happens right after.
He walks up and says, you know, I'm just gonna stay. Aiden has caught a fish.
Mhm.
I'm gonna stay out here and work on the hearth so I can go home. And Amy says, oh no, please, would you? Come on, I made dinner. Come on in. And Aiden's all excited. Come on in. So he's like, okay, fine. And he walks in. And it's not that
Oh my
she's made
God.
dinner and they're about to have a plate. It's like a spread.
Oh.
Like really nicely laid out. And then she walks up and she pulls out the chair that's at the head of the table.
Oh.
Just like, have a seat. And Roger sits down, and
And he's
Richard
like,
Rankin is
"Ooh."
really very good in the scene, and it's a little bit just the right amount of funny. You can see him saying, to quote a
She
once
was
great
right.
sitcom, "I've made a huge mistake." Like it's just you can see him go, oh, this is what she
Oh.
meant, right?
She's right.
this is
My wife
fucked
is
up.
right. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go. So he departs.
With no meal?
Oh no,
mean,
he ate.
He
I'm
ate.
sure he ate.
I know he did because that food looked too good.
It
Yeah, I
really
was
did
gonna
look
say,
very
like,
good.
just do
And
s-
you know,
do
every
something.
house is like 17 miles apart. It's a walk.
Yeah. He's got to go someplace.
He took some provisions. I don't know.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
wrapped up some leftovers. I don't
Yeah.
know when we're going to see her again, but my guess is she comes back, right? The
Amy,
widow.
Amy McCallum is a regular character. You will see a lot of her.
Okay.
She lives on the ridge,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a nice person.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there-
She's grieving and sad and needs
Yes.
help with her son.
you have
That's the
no.
truth.
There is people out there. If you are so used to sexist storytelling that you find yourself thinking that Amy McCallum, she's suspicious, I want to assure you, this show is doing a better job than that. That is not the vibe
Yeah.
No,
at all.
I don't feel that with this one at all. I
yeah.
do feel like the misdirect with Malva, though, was well done because that's going to kind of be what it is now, right? For Malva now. Oh, you're all like, no spoilers.
I'm not. I've read the
Well,
books. I'm not saying shit.
Okay. So then we see that Jamie figures out that Jocasta paid for those flyers, and he is very mad because he got tar on his neck. Ugh.
and his son is now a printer, printing
Fergus, right.
presumably
Potentially.
things that Jocasta
loy-
wants him to print.
Of a loyalist nature.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
even of a rebel nature.
Um,
Either way, that's some shitty. That's scary.
I'm realizing in this moment that we did skip a little thing that I want to mention because it was so good. There's a moment where Jocasta's talking to Claire after they've gotten baked, and she says something like, you know, I've had 4 husbands, but it wasn't until Myrta that I really felt something. So I'm content because I can remember his face from when we were young.
Whew. Woof.
Oh, gets you right in the feels. Maria Doyle
Yeah,
Kennedy. Here's
she's
to you,
so
bitch.
good, dude.
She's so
she's
good.
so fucking good.
And you can. There's a line that Mary has after Jamie and Jamie have that little confrontation. Mary comes up and says, "You know, your auntie hasn't been the same since Myrta died. I find her dozing in a chair by the fire, muttering about blood money and French gold."
French gold. She mentioned it. She said it.
And you can see Jamie go, "Oop."
Go. What?
But
Uh-oh. Okay.
uh-oh. This is it.
Add that to the list of shit I gotta worry about.
Great, because I didn't have enough. Yeah, it's bad. So there's tension. We leave some tension with the river run, between the river run and the ridge. A little wrinkle.
We go back to the ridge. Bree and Roger meet after he's like, "You were right. Sorry." And she's like, "Good, because I'm pregnant." It's much sweeter than that.
It's a nice There also the costuming, really good job,
That-
because
is this
I
where she's wearing
clocked
that gray vest. Oh my God, I love that vest.
beautiful.
Oh.
But also I clocked in an earlier scene that she had like a little, like slightly more bulge in the skirt, and I was like,
Just a little bumpish.
ooh, is Brianna pregnant already?
Nice.
So Roger says, "You were right, and you never had to worry about me." And she goes, "Oh, I know,
I didn't.
I didn't."
Exactly like that. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
this didn't. Like, okay, and they smile at each other. It's very sweet. And he says, "I just want to be with you and Jem." Oh, also, we get the shot of Jemmy with the plane. So
The
Jemmy is
wooden
running
airplane
in
that she carved for him.
and
Yeah,
going
yeah.
vroom vroom vroom, which is a book nod, because in the book it's not an airplane, it's a car, and they call the car a vroom because they can't call it a car because cars don't exist. So it's a vroom. And here he's going vroom vroom with the plane. He runs into the woods, and then they're both like, "He's probably fine." And
Yeah.
then like have their
Bye.
nice chat. And he says, "I just want to spend time with you and Jem, just the three of us." And she says, "Well, the four of us." And then Richard Rankin, bless him, he just makes Roger so happy, like elated. It was lovely. They smooch. Also, Brianna's wig looking choice.
Nice.
Yes, it
Claire's hair
is.
is great in this episode too. Really good. They found a good balance with the like natural-ish curls that they've also obviously helped along, but not so much that it seems unrealistic.
Yes,
Good
I agree
wigs.
with that.
Good wigs.
I did think to myself that this would be a particularly bad time in history to get pregnant.
Oh yeah.
Like, ugh. It's gonna be fraught. I just have bad feelings about it.
On
All right,
the other hand, the best doctor in the world
Lives right next door.
is her mom.
Shit.
She's right
You
there.
know what? You're right. I feel better already.
It's still risky.
See, I feel better already, but now I'm gonna feel way worse because here's Malva walking through the woods. Why is she alone? We don't know. There's this weird hut that's like made out of animal pelt.
Yeah, you know what kind of hut it is, Julie?
Oh God.
What kind of hut is it, Julie?
It's a doom hut.
It's a doom hut.
It's a doom hut.
Because inside are dead people that she's cutting fingers off of.
Oh, deuce. What?
Good callback.
Holy fuck.
You wanna know the best part? That's not made up. That's
Oh.
real. That we didn't make that one up. That's real. Oh God, Jessica Reynolds does such a good job. She's sitting there. First of all, she is uncannily unaffected by both the dead bodies and the flies and presumably the stench. She's just kind of sitting there like she's come to visit an invalid relative who's taking a nap right now. That's the
Oh,
energy.
wow.
She's just sitting.
Yes.
And then
Malva's
she takes out her
creepy.
pocket knife, and you can see she sells
She
every
likes it.
tendon. She's just like she's deboning a chicken. Like she's really getting in there, but she's not repulsed. She's
Not
like,
at
we're
all.
determined.
Where are these
Yeah.
corpses coming from? What the fuck?
Who knows?
TBD, my man.
Plague? No idea. They're
Good old
long
days?
dead. They're
Yeah.
long dead.
They're like turning gray.
Yeah. In the process of decomposing. But the other thing that's important is we see the hand before she starts cutting, and it has 1.5 fingers
So she's already done this.
because she's already
Yeah.
taken 2.5. These are gone, and half of this is gone.
Yeah, she's been lighting love potion fires.
But for who?
What was the
That's
name of the
scary.
spell again? Wait, what was the name of the charm
I
again?
think it was
Venom and Wind.
Yeah, venom on the wind,
It's
venom
like
in the wind.
gossip. It's like gossip, right? Being able to
Oh.
create some kind of deadly thing that stops somebody from fucking with your plans. Just gonna say.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's
So, Janine, that's some real witch shit. That's
Y'all, it's you know what, Janine? We're recording remotely, dear listener, this week, but next week on Palm Sunday, we're gonna record in person. And Janine, we're gonna make you watch this finger scene. You got to see it.
just this scene. Just
this
so you
Okay.
can see Jessica Reynolds' like affect.
I take
because
it back.
It's very intense.
You're gonna watch 2 scenes. You're
Which
gonna
scenes?
watch the finger scene,
Yeah.
and then you're just gonna watch Bonnet Prince douchebag say, "That's a fair point,"
Yeah.
or whatever it is he says. You got to see him in the bot. You got to see the Maid Face.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Into it.
You know, Andrew Gower, way to be a good sport. One scene,
Yeah.
and it's ridiculous.
I don't think I've actually ever seen a scene that he's been in.
You've never seen a Bonnie Prince douchebag scene?
I don't think so.
Really?
I'm not surprised by that because that
Yeah.
was
That was season
earlier
1.
on, right? That was
season
season one.
2. A lot of
Season two.
season 2.
But
But he
season
wasn't
2
really
was our
much
season
until
1.
later.
And so we
Mhm.
weren't, I didn't even have a mic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay, well, then you'll get to see it in
Cool.
all its glory. So now that Brianna has told Roger, it's time for her to not tell anyone, right? Because Brianna, notoriously good at keeping secrets. That's wrong. She's
Yeah,
not.
that's a lie.
No.
She's bad.
That's She might as well be sucking tar out of a neck.
We missed the whole pool game.
Great. Pool. Yes. Sorry, please. So Jamie goes to his
So-
meeting.
We see fucking Malva take a dead man's finger, and you are recovering from that shock. Blah! When there's a scene between Jamie and Lord John here. The only reason I remember that is because Jamie's wearing a hat that I don't necessarily care for on him. Anyway, Patty. But he says, "I'm going to this rebel meeting, so deuces." And he goes to meet,
It's
what's his
heartbreaking, though.
name? Yeah,
It's Lord John. You can see his heart just break. And Jamie says, why don't you come with me and you can at least hear their ideas and what they're about? Because essentially this is a scene where these 2 BFFs, one of whom is kind of in love with the other, are both doing what they think they need to do to save the other person's life. Because Lord John is saying, if you are a rebel, they are going to lose and you are going to die. You will
And Jamie
either
is
be
like,
killed or be executed.
Nah.
Whereas Jamie is like, why don't you come and listen to them? Because I can't say, hey, just so you know. Shouldn't they just tell Lord John at this point? I mean, he's already keeping he's the opposite of Brianna. He's keeping 9 million secrets.
Yeah.
You know what? That is a lockbox.
He is
Yeah.
really, no secrets.
10 toes down.
And there's no way that man honestly believes that he would never believe that Claire was a witch.
No.
No.
Because he's intelligent. He gets it.
But alas, that is not what we get.
So they're both trying to save each other's lives, and at a certain point, Jamie is like, "Okay, listen, if you're not going to come with me, can you just the meeting?
Keep a secret?
He knows where the meeting
Yes.
is happening. Lord John
Yeah.
knows where the meeting is happening, and Jamie's like, "Okay, can you just? I'm going to be there. Can you just buy me some time?" And David Barry, God, he's so good. It's like, okay, that's a lot. That's a big favor, Jamie. Yeah, you're asking a really big favor, not like asking one of your 2 dads to not exist for a night so that you can bring home the girl that you want to marry whose dad is a conservative.
We saw La Cage aux Folles last night.
Yeah, we saw La Cage aux Folles last night, and
Okay.
I
Birdcage,
watched
so-
The Birdcage. Anyway,
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, it's fine. But it's a big favor, and Jamie's like, "Yeah, I know." Peace.
Yeah, deuces, will you do it? See ya.
Like
And Lord John's back there going, God damn it, yes, I will. do
Yes,
it."
I
Like,
will.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord John. and then I said, thank you for everything, Queen Face, because you're so fucking good.
He's so good.
And then Jamie goes into this other meeting room. I can't really tell where it is, but it's separate from the hotel or wherever else he's been. And it's the guy with his friend who's the one that was at the printer's shop, like trying to tar and feather him, that suspicious guy from the beginning. And Jamie is like, what the fuck? And then Jamie has an amazing speech.
Oh yeah, because he walks into a meeting already in progress, and they're like, "You're not welcome here anymore." He's like, "Why?" He said, "Well, because you were defending that Tory scum." And then, good job, Sam, delivers this speech. It's like, oh, okay, so freedom is only valuable to you when it's stuff you like to hear. Right? Is that what you're telling me? Is common decency not a thing? And they're all like, oh, common decency. But the library is open.
Oh, yeah, it is. He's even got repetition. He's like, is it liberty if I do? Is it liberty if I do? And these guys are like all immediately bathed in the glow and shower of Jamie's leadership.
Yeah, you
like,
can see them all go,
immediately, just
oh, okay. You know what he is? A leader of men.
a leader of men. And then all of a
Leader.
sudden he goes, dude, there are British soldiers
No,
coming
no.
right now.
That's not what it is. The main guy says, how do we know we can trust you? And Jamie says, because I'm here to warn you that the redcoats are coming. And then, no joke, 3 seconds later, boots. And they all go,
What the fuck? And Jamie's like, run out the back. You stay here. And then he starts pulling out all the like snooker materials because there's a pool table there and they get it all set up real quick. And then the fucking redcoats come in and Jamie's like leaning against the table like,
What's
"Hello."
up?
Yes.
I'm just a guest at the inn. What can I do for you, officer?
The line reading when he said, care to join us, was the funniest thing Sam Heughan has ever done. It made me laugh out loud. Like, I was like, good fucking A.
It was good.
Just the whole, like, you leave, you do this. Sup?
Yeah, just like,
So fucking funny.
hey, what's going on? We're just playing pool. And then one of them does something with the snooker game, and he just kind of looks down and is like, huh, look at that. Look what you did. It's great. It's great. It's great.
And then we go back to the ridge, and it's Bree and Marsley, and I love these scenes.
Yes.
I really like Lauren Lyle and Sophie Skelton together.
I
They
do
work well
too.
together.
The relationship is very convincing.
Mhm.
I think Lauren Lyle is really good at that in general. I think I believe every relationship that Marsley has had on the show. Like, I believe the transformation. Like, I believe her progression with Claire. That's a really, when she says that you killed my ma, or you hurt my ma. Oh, in the last season, it's very, very good. And here, it's not like we've seen a ton of scenes between these two, but they keep talking about, like, I thought. Her line delivery is so good. They're talking about whatever they're doing, blah, 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 chatter. And then Brianna is standing over Henri Christian's bassinet. I'm like, hi. And the baby's
Looking at
making
that cute ass baby.
very cute noises. She's like,
Oh,
oh,
so
cute. And then it cuts to Marsley, who's looking over at Brie, and it cuts back to Brie, but from Marsley's POV. And she's like patting Henri Christian, but she's got one hand on her midsection and obviously doesn't realize it. And Lauren Lyle was like,
Bitch, why didn't you tell me?
so she says, I thought we were sisters, no? And Brianna says, yeah, we are. She says, well, what, do you hear all those kids out there? Do you hear all those kids out there? And Brianna's like, yeah? She says, did you really think I wasn't going to be able to tell if you were knocked up?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you got me.
You're right, I am. Please don't tell anyone yet. I need to tell my mom when she gets back. Okay,
Oh,
I want to
and then they
tell
have
her.
this really lovely little exchange where Marsley says she would never take the opportunity of seeing Claire be surprised by good news from Brianna because it's such a joyful thing. It's a really nice little moment.
I wrote Lauren Lyle and Sophie Skelton for life.
Yeah, very
LIFE.
good together. Very good.
And then we flash back to North Carolina, and Jamie is tightening up all the shit in the back of the wagon. They're about to fucking hit the rocks. We're out of here. And Claire is in the wagon. She's not looking so great. And you can tell she's very distracted. And Jamie gets in the wagon, and they're about to head out when all of a sudden you hear a whistle. And what's the name of that song?
I think it's
Dun, dun,
Colonel
dun, dun, dun,
Bogey's
dun,
March.
dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun. You know that
Yeah.
whistle? Okay.
Yeah.
And Claire hears it and is like, because that's from the fucking future, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I checked. The melody was composed in 1917, but it became popular in the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But still, future shit.
Yeah.
Future
and she heard
shit.
this whistle, but then it's so well done because we're left with this kind of like floaty feeling of, did she really hear it, or was that an auditory hallucination? Because we've already seen her have a couple
Yeah.
of hallucinations with the ether.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this: was she just confused? Was it whatever? And so you see her be a little bit shaken by it, and then they ride away, and then
There's a
camera
really
goes
good
into the
moment,
jail.
though, real quick. Sam
Mhm.
Heughan, I think, is doing a really nice job of making it clear that it's a little bit like what David Barry is doing, honestly, where you can see the kind of the little layers of it. You can see that he is worried about Claire, but also that he believes if there was a problem, she would tell him.
Mm.
And also that she is not, because she is not telling him, there's no point in addressing it. Sort of. Like it's all, you can see him go like, you all right? And she says, yeah, it's just the wind, something. And he goes, okay. And then just off they go because he's not going to press, but you can tell that he knows that something is wrong.
She's not 100%.
Very cool.
Everybody can tell.
It's really like, it's a very good little piece of acting. But then we go to a prison.
And we see this guy from the back, long, kind of curly hair, and he's whistling that to himself. And then the camera does a close-up on a dirty palm holding a single emerald. So remember when Flora McDonald showed up and her necklace had been stolen and one emerald was missing?
Yeah.
So this guy in the prison has the emerald. I'm going to say it was probably up his poop chute or in a tooth socket, something. That's how he got it past
Sure.
everybody, right?
Yeah.
And what do we know that requires jewels?
Dick rocks.
Yes,
Ding,
sir.
ding.
And he's whistling that song from 1917.
Which is when I would like to remind you that Claire encountered someone during her traumatic experience at the end of last season who was also from the future and communicated to her that he was from the future by whistling it's the Beatles in the book. I don't remember whether or not it's the Beatles in the show. Oh no, he says, "Is your name Ringo Starr?" Yeah,
Ringo Starr.
Anyway, I could not confirm who that is because he starts to turn around and they cut away.
Of course.
So we very specifically have not seen the actor's face, but that would be my guess is that it's that character.
Wow. Oh, wow. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. What a fucking ride.
It was
Told
a ride,
you.
dude.
Told you.
So much happened in this episode. And it's so interesting because it feels like these plot lines should be way more disparate than they were last week, but somehow this episode felt way more cohesive.
Well, because it's all tied to, there's the season theme of not actually being able to leave the past behind, right? And then there's this through line in this episode of freedom and choices. And appearance versus reality. And why sometimes, even though it shouldn't, appearance does matter. In the case of Roger and Amy McCallum, right? Like he's not having an affair, but it matters that people think he could be because it's an indication that something isn't right. Oh, also, Richard Rankin, we skipped this, but has a really good little tiny speech about how he has a weakness for young mothers.
Oh, yeah, because his mother died when he was so young.
But it
yeah.
ties back to Morag Mackenzie when he got his ass beat, and almost that was also a young mother being sympathetic to a young mother. Like
That's
man,
right.
he's really, and frankly, Claire, he's very sympathetic to Claire, who is not a young mother, but who is a single mother when they meet. Wants to get her back to Jamie and whatnot. It's a good little speech. Anyway. It's a lot.
Dude,
Yeah.
if you had told me that in one single episode I would see not only testicles floating in formaldehyde, Claire and Jocasta blazing up together, and somebody cutting somebody's finger off, I would have been like, it can only be Outlander.
And that's without the exiled prince of Scotland.
In the bonnet.
In a bonnet on the beach.
Mark me.
Mark
you look
me.
great.
Mock me.
It was a lot, but it was entertaining. I was entertained. I was entertained.
It all tied together really. Thematically, it was paced really well, like lots of ups and downs. Like at no point did it drag.
No.
But it also didn't feel overstuffed or contrived. There are lots of little good tiny nuggets for book readers, which maybe
at
I'll
least
do.
2 on the mantle.
True.
That was good. That was good.
Julie,
I mean,
there are
I gotta
days.
make my living somehow.
There are days that I'm proud to know you, and then there are days that I'm proud to know you.
That was real good.
Um,
Wow. Really just slid
Yeah.
in there.
yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll do an in the books crowdcast or Instagram live or something later this week with a book reader. Because there's a lot of in the book stuff.
Yeah.
But I just thought this episode was a hoot is
fun.
not the right
It was-
word.
It was fun though.
It was a ride. It was
Right.
not as poetic as some, like if you were listening to the top tier Outlander episodes, some of them it would be because they're a hoot, but some of them would be because they're just real, like Faith, obviously incredibly well made, very moving, very well acted, focused, all this really good stuff. There aren't that many episodes that are like this, where you're like, well, that one was great. In fact, the other one is the print shop episode. It's not even noon. Is the other episode where it's like
so much shit
a
happens.
roller coaster, and it's
Yes.
not. None of these events is like a formative event in the book. I cannot believe they resisted the urge to have to have the granny sit up at her own funeral happen in this episode. They really should have just.
Oh my god! If they had gotten that in here, Jesus,
They should have.
Somehow Malva's actually making a finger fire like at the funeral somehow. It's like, what up?
She's
Honey.
real comfortable on that pulpit.
Okay, let's do some scales. So the costumes. Let's say on a scale of, I'm trying to think of projects related to. You know what? How about on a scale of from The Descent, which is a very good movie, but it's not challenging costume wise. Pretty straightforward. To Orphan Black, a Maria Doyle
shit.
Kennedy joint, where there had to be incredibly detailed costumes that all fit Tatiana Maslany,
Oh my god!
as well as everything else. Where would this fall? Sort of like routine or like incredibly detailed?
I think I have to give this one a little bit higher of a bump because not only do we get to see a lot of the aristocracy as it stands, whatever, the loyalists, the red coats, the ball gowns, the big event, the emerald necklace, like we're seeing a lot of that shit, which we haven't seen a lot because we've been on the Ridge. And then we've got part-time in the Ridge too.
Brianna's wearing
We
some
also
real
get to
cute
see
clothes.
Bonnie Prince douche in a fucking bonnet.
Yes,
which is
I'm sorry.
a
The
great
correct
costume.
answer is Tootsie. Obviously.
You're right. Because everybody else is in normal clothes, just normally living their lives, and here's Dustin Hoffman in a red sequin gown.
And he doesn't even have the excuse of needing to see his children.
Yes.
That's a Mrs. Doubtfire reference.
Right.
It's just that he needs to escape, and he's like, "This is a terrible outfit." Did you know a monkey bit me once? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Tootsie is perfect.
Great. Let's do the doing it scale. So on the low end, we've got a finger bone. And on the high end, we've got a finger bone. So where does it fall on that scale?
Oh man, I don't know, because to me the bone and scale is usually about titillation, like things that I find interesting. I didn't really feel that way about this episode.
I'm
even
going to give
though-
it 2 finger bones.
Yeah, at least 2 knuckles deep. How about that? I give it 2 knuckles deep.
You're giving this one deuces.
Yeah, deuces. That's
Deuces.
exactly it. Boom.
Okay, and the getting up to get a beer scale,
I
or
don't
to
think so.
or to grab your pipe. Say, I'll tell you what. There is one point where I would get up to grab my pipe, and it is the second that you know that is what they're doing. You just say pause. Yeah. You go get your vape pen or your edibles or whatever you're doing. You just, or I guess a beer, and you just sit down. And you're like, all right, I'm ready to party with these hoes. Let's do it.
These hoes.
Let's do it. Girls' night, bitch. That's great. We got Flora McDonald. We're going to shoot the shit. We're going to talk shit about Bonnie Prince douchebag, because you know what? We don't see enough of Claire talking shit about historical figures because, man, she has seen some shit. Claire should be able to gossip. Claire should have a lot of gossip in her life. They should have done more. They should have all just been like, you know what the worst thing about Charles Stewart is? And then they would say 15 things. They should have done that. Did you know he dated a friend of mine once, and he was so shitty, even her monkey bit him. That's what Claire should be saying.
You know what I just put together too?
What?
Is that Flora McDonald went around back to the gazebo to blaze up with her bitches and then went and gave that stirring speech.
Yeah, way to go, Flora.
That bitch is in control.
Great. Yes.
So yeah, no, I lighten up a pipe with the ladies, but I'm not getting up. I didn't get up.
Okay.
I didn't leave.
Right. So what's the movie where you would most want to make sure that you were prepared to be? Girls Trip. I give it a girls trip.
Yes, I like that.
I give it Tiffany Haddish on a zip line peeing into a crowd in New Orleans. That's what I give it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Bless.
Awesome.
And who is your platinum pamplemousse for the week?
Oh my God. I don't know. Sam Heughan was really, really good in this episode, but Lord John showed back up, and Lord John is always the fucking shit. Man,
and
I don't
Maria
know.
Doyle Kennedy was really good.
There was so much going on. It's very hard to pick.
You know
one
what?
person.
We can pick different things. I'm gonna say Jessica Reynolds for the fucking finger scene alone. It's really, Janine, it is a very good, extremely weird piece of physical acting. It's like, you know how you watch a cheap Netflix movie and no one ever has anything in their coffee cups? It's the
Yeah.
opposite of that. She made me believe that she was cutting through a human finger. Like, really, that she was cutting through a human finger and having an oddly normal reaction to it.
Well, it seems like she's at the heart of a lot of interesting things that happen in this episode. Like when they first find the fire, when she's getting finger fired, and when she's cutting fingers. Like she seems platinum.
Yeah, she's my
She
pick.
was. I mean,
But please give it to Sam. He deserves. I could have gone either way, or Coin
Man.
Face, or Maria Doyle
Coin-
Kennedy.
We could
I
have a
just don't
cornucopia
know.
of pamplemousses here.
I think, you know what? I think I'm going to give it to Sam. I'm going to give it to Jamie this time just for that fucking Liberty speech into the pool game.
Yes.
I really appreciated that so much. And it was really good physical acting, physical comedy almost, even though it wasn't. It was dramatic. But yeah, Sam, Jamie, great job, bud.
Yeah, it was the sharpest, like, comedy bit where it's like, I know exactly what to do here. This is the exact timing that I'm going to make this joke sing. Truly.
Care to join us?
Yeah, just like
Like,
really,
it was like that. Care to join us?
just like really,
Oh my
truly,
God, it was
just killed
so
it.
funny.
Yeah, it was really great.
Okay. Yeah, I say Sam.
Great. Well, hey, that's going to do it for Give Me Liberty. Give me 5. High-fiving 1,000 angels. You can.
I think I need listeners to know that we all just gave ourselves high fives.
Oh, we did.
Alone
We did.
We did.
remotely. That's that
We
clap
did.
sound was us each giving
Thanks,
self high fives.
COVID. We would like to thank you for joining us for this extended conversation about Give Me Liberty. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/podlandercast. You can find us on Twitter at podlandercast, where people have been saying funny things lately. Thank you for all your funny comments. Say more funny comments. I'll be better about checking it. Twitter's my job, and I'm not good at it anymore. Because social media is a scourge.
Thumbs
y'all.
down.
It's really rough sometimes. But you can also, speak of social media, you can find us on Instagram. Our Instagram is incredibly well maintained by none of us. But we hang out. Podlander Presents, Podlandercast, and Sickburn Jane. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Podlander Drunkcast, where you can support the show. You can get access to the Slack. Lots of new Slack members recently. That's so cool. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
And bonus episodes. We're overdue for what now? We'll have to do one soon.
I know.
And other fun things. Patreon.com/PodlanderCast. We want to thank all of our patrons who make it possible for us to do the show, but especially the following lovely people. Okay, y'all ready?
Yeah. Woof.
Kelly Armstrong, Sydney Taylor, BG, Just Bree, Catspaw156, Maddie Perkins, Snazzy Knack, Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Jen Collins, Ashley Tegas, Tina Barnett, Nicole Rodriguez, Kristen Frankel Fiore, Laura Cole, Amelia Bazell, Liz, and Tinkerbell, Stella Welch, Tori Halligan, Claire Feeney, Rochelle Lefevre, Jerry Hurdle, Emily Carlson, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Solters, Mary the Falling Statue, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jen Wilkowski, Ed Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Karen Marlowe, Trish Crary, Julie, I'm ashamed, Julie DeToit, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, and Kiki the Wise. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much. We will be back next week. There is one next week, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Aren't we recording live next week?
We are recording
Barring
live
any-
next week.
Barring any weird emergency or anything. I mean, we're
Fuck
flexible,
yeah.
but Palm Sunday at my house, bitches.
Palm Sunday.
And also with you. Bye.
Bye.
Boy.